Hey heroes, welcome in. We are your hosts for hire. I'm Kyle Cage. This is Lucas Rand. A while back, I made an edit video of Captain Carter and some of the more badass stuff she has done. We kind of expected this right off the bat, but it took a little longer than we thought. But we want to respond to some comments on that video. The premise of the video is that she gets way more hate than she deserves.
Right.
Um, and a lot of the reasoning behind it is usually just misogyny for the most part. It's a lot of the reason why most superhero female led uh, movies fail and projects fail. It's unfortunate, but it is a reality of
Yeah.
the comic book world is that there's a lot of incels and
Yeah.
people who
And I
aren't
mean, there was a
happy.
lot of comments that came at us like right away too, and we just kind of
Mhm.
like ignored those. We were like, okay, like these are gonna happen, like whatever,
Yeah.
let it go, just dislike the comment and move on.
Yeah.
But this morning we got some more comments from a true believer 7163, who again we're not throwing like all of this hate specifically at this one person because
Not
like
at all. Actually,
really what this
the
is.
reason why we're responding is because they actually articulated an argument. We ignored the
Yeah,
other ones for the most part, but
right.
this one, they actually articulated an argument. We
And
just
also,
wanted to touch
his
on a few.
opinions aren't necessarily specific to him. He's just
Hmm.
someone who has vocalized what is a vast majority of an opinion from what I've seen on like the echo chamber that is the internet, right?
Hmm.
Um, so we'll put up his comments so you guys can read them. But the gist, right, is that Captain Carter is a carbon copy of Steve Rogers. He wasn't a big fan of that. And then the other thing that he seems to be most upset about is that she wasn't a very good representation for women in comics. Right?
And more,
Correct us if we're wrong on that, true believer, but like that's just from what reading your comments, that's like the two big points that I could take away.
and more specifically to that second point, that there are other characters
That are
that
better
would be
suited.
that would be better suited specifically for representation,
Right.
which he's not wrong there. There are a lot of characters that there's just a lot of characters. All right.
Right.
First off,
Right.
like there's just a lot of characters. So when creating characters and choosing which characters to use, what I think, and again, correct us if we're wrong, what I think a lot of people get hung up on is that they can't just pick and choose whoever they want. That there are greedy executives who, if they don't think that character is going to sell or do well with a specific
Yeah, that's a
demographic,
really good point. The
they're not going to
unfortunate
allow them to
reality,
use
we'll
it.
start right there. The unfortunate reality is that yeah, he puts up an argument that do we really think that a white middle upper class British woman is the best form of representation for like a woman in the MCU? Right, like you said, good point. Is there other ones that are better? Hell yes. Is there other ones that are better that fit within what the MCU has already built between Peggy and Steve's relationship? We've already seen it all from one side. Most viewers know exactly the Peggy Steve relationship, whether they're comic fans
Hmm.
or not comic fans.
Hmm.
So, and just like you said, is the character going to appease the execs? Is there enough name recognition in this character? A
That
great
it's actually going
example
to matter.
is right now we had it with Captain America. Just a great example where people didn't even know that Sam became Captain America in the comics. And then we're thinking that Disney was pulling off some woke liberal stuff, making it a black Captain America, when not even knowing that that is a thing that happens in the comics and that the MCU was following that trajectory from the first scene of Winter Soldier. The first scene of Winter Soldier is Falcon running and him and
Hmm.
Cap building a relationship. So like most people don't see that stuff, and the big money execs, they want to pander to most people, right? So like they want to use characters like Batman 600 times,
Well,
Superman,
they
like
also
we
want to
want
pander to
characters
the
that people
loudest
know.
people. They want to pander to
This
the
is true.
loudest people. The other issue I have is that the people who are loudest on the internet it's actually like a small percentage in my opinion of like the really really hardcore actual incel misogynists, not true believer, but like the actual like really bad ones. I'd like to believe they're a small percentage, but they're loud.
Yeah,
and they
no,
take up a lot of
100%.
space.
And
So that's what
like
they get listened to.
I understand as a cis white male that it sucks right now not feeling represented in every single thing that we watch and play and do and visualize and see and feel. You know, that sucks. But to say that she's a bad representation for women's empowerment when what she is, take what Steve is. What is Steve? He is the the blueprint of what it is to be a good American man. That's what like the character of MCU specifically, Steve Rogers is. Just a good, decent American. Like that's what it is. How is a woman encapsulating those values not empowering to little girls across America, Britain, Africa, Asia, anywhere that people are watching, any little girl that is watching? I understand that we're not girls, so we can't feel what it feels like to be empowered by seeing something.
Well, and that's
But
actually a good
like,
point. That's a good point because in one of the comments he mentions how Steve Rogers' story is better and more relatable to you.
right,
It's
because he's
not
like a
relatable to a
civilian and
single
stuff.
female.
Right,
You know what it's not relatable to a single female. So if you
right.
take that similar story, even if she is, which she is for the most part a copy, but I'll get into that a little bit too because I think her fighting style and tactics, she's way better than Steve. There's a reason why Uatu found her and not a different version of Steve. He has the multiverse at his disposal. But my point is that when it comes to the differences and the similarities between them, it's for a reason. Like I,
It's
at least
purposeful.
in my opinion, it felt to me purposeful. Like they were showing why that they were so compatible and how tragic it was that in almost no timelines they're able to be together.
Yep. It's like the reason that she's a carbon copy of Steve. Because, like, again, the points he's making, he's right. She is a carbon copy of Steve, but that's for a reason. They're showing that, like, that their ideologies match. That in situations they make the same choice. Like a huge thing that I see on comments and stuff is that, like, oh, Peggy's writing is terrible, and they're saying that Peggy's writing is terrible because like it's just like a girl being like ugh over a guy and she like can't get over a guy and like that's why she's making all these bad decisions on Steve's behalf, right? Where she's like going against orders, doing all these things to save Steve. Steve literally does that, but
For Winter Soldier.
for homie, not even for like the love of his life. In which, like, if it was Peggy that was in that suit and we got to see that as like the MCU Steve, he would have 100% been making all of those exact calls. The point of what they're showing is that both of them, and no matter what, they're doing the same thing because they're the same because that's because they're Captain America and Captain Carter. That's the point. Like I think that you, true believer, and a lot of people kind of miss that yes, that's true. They wrote it that way because that's how it is. That's how it's supposed to be. And like he says, like in the comics, What If is an anthology series, right? Obviously, I don't know again, man, if you missed it, but from episode 1 of this series, they made it pretty freaking clear that there was a story arc throughout the whole thing, and
Yeah,
that
that
Peggy
Uatu was
Carter was the main
manipulating things.
character.
Yeah.
Like they made it pretty freaking clear. And like if you weren't clear on that by the end of season 1, the beginning of season 2 should have made that like
Well, and I get
very
not
clear.
so like I understand not wanting that too. You know, I like
Sure.
to if you're a
We
huge
have our problems with What
for
If.
some
Our
reason
What If episodes, we talk
my
more shit than we did good.
yeah, for the most part. Check them out by the way. We did an episode on each episode.
Yep.
They go by pretty quick because of that, so check it out.
Mm-hmm.
But my when it comes to What If, like I understand if you're a huge fan of What If, that if you wanted to see specific stories from What If, I get that, and that none of them ever connect. But that's they it's the MCU. They
Yeah.
need it to
They need
connect
to
so that
connect.
they can
And
make
also
money.
there were those types of episodes also. Like
Yeah.
if you watch the full thing, like there were episodes, one that had nothing to do with anything else, and two that had no even like remote inkling of Peggy being in it. There were those episodes. So like I don't get the like fueled hate of like this was a Peggy show. Like she ruined everything. And like to your point, what you were saying, her fighting style is so much cooler than Steve's. At the very least of what we got to see,
Mhm.
right? Of what we got to actually see. Like, yes, I agree. I'm rewatching the MCU right now. Steve, dude, it's hard to top that motherfucker. He's so good. He's so good as Captain America.
Mhm.
Like Chris Evans is so amazing. Like the Captain America character is extremely hard to top. But from what we get to see, like Peggy's so much more aggressive because she's military trained before Steve was. She's like a full actualized soldier before she got the serum, whereas Steve became a soldier when he got the serum.
And even
You
then,
know
he
what I
never
mean?
really he was never really a soldier.
Right. Like she was a
Like,
fully actualized high level operative before getting the serum. So like objectively, bro, like I know I'm sorry. I know we're not women and it's hard for us to be like looking at that. But like to me, if Peggy and Steve were to go at it, Peggy smacks Steve 9.8 times out of 10. I'd say
mhm.
Steve gets by on some grit, that 0.2% like time. But like
But 2%, yeah.
she is just better than him in all ways. If they're gonna be equal, if they both have the same strength, speed, physique, which they do, just because she's a woman does not mean that the super soldier serum works like lesser on her. She's just
Yes,
better.
it does.
Like it has to go into the boobs, and Steve didn't have that, so like she has less.
Jesus. Oh my god. I think everyone can agree or should be able to agree that representation is important just
Yeah,
as a whole. That it is important that as many people be represented as possible, right? Here's the problem with the world we live in. We can't just represent whoever we want whenever we want because if they
because
get
there's shitty people
rejected,
in charge,
well, not just in charge. There's greedy people in charge and shitty people yelling.
appeasing to those greedy people.
Yeah, well, the greedy people want to appease to the shitty people because they want to make as much money as
Right,
possible. So they want to
right.
appeal to as many people as possible, as large of a demographic as
And like to a
possible.
true believer's point, like what he was saying, that there's a lot of other characters that they could pull from. But like, bro, like let's consider what we've gotten. Even the white female characters that we've gotten. Let's not even talk about like Miss Marvel or Spectrum from the Marvels that just got eviscerated by people, but for being women of color being represented in these movies. But let's just go to like let's start with like the big one, Black Widow. Let's be very real. Her writing, if you think that Black Widow's writing was better than Peggy's, it's because
You
you like
you
how
need to
sexy she is, bro.
you need to
And I'm sorry to
rewatch
like just
all of
say
them.
that, but like it's because she was sexy as fuck and they used that and they sexualized the shit out of the character. And to most people, that's okay. To sexualize the shit out of a character and not write her very well at
Well,
all
well, as
is
long as
totally
she's
fine.
sexualized, it
Right.
doesn't have to be good writing as long as she's. But if you're not
Peggy is not
sexualized
a
and not,
conventionally sexy, character. Like it's not a live action. Whatever. There's the reasons. Let's go further than Black Widow. Captain Marvel. When the Captain Marvel movie came out, eviscerated. When the Marvels movie came out, a 3 female led film, which had its issues, but was not as bad as people made it like out to be. Dude, it just
Mhm.
got eviscerated. I know you mentioned like there's like different Captain Americas that are like more diverse than Peggy, but bro, even
People
these
don't want to
white
accept
women
this one.
characters can't be accepted. Can you imagine how poorly those characters would be accepted? And then like unfortunately the higher ups then see that as okay, never again, right? And
They
that's
just
not
wanna
good.
make money. Like,
Like that's
we
not
need to
good.
be the ones to push for the representation rather than so that we can get those characters. We have to accept the ones that we get so
Yeah, and we
that
have
we
to
can.
also look forward to and accept the characters that we're getting, that we can get a lot of
Mhm,
representation in, right? Like characters like Storm, like
mhm,
characters like Mystique. Like
mhm,
Mystique to me can be any ethnicity. She's
mhm.
blue,
Yeah, well, and
right? Like
also, like, changes shape and form.
changes form. Like she doesn't need to be like she's classically been in the movies that we've seen a white woman. Like she doesn't need to be, right? Like
No.
there's opportunities coming in a lot of characters for representation that these high up execs are like willing to do. But like I said, like we're getting them and we're shitting on them, dude. Like
Mhm,
so hard. Like just like Peggy, just like this. We're getting cool, like dope, not the best written, but at least well written characters. I didn't like What If personally as Lucas, but like like I said, man, I'm not a girl. Like I didn't feel represented by the full female team that ended up winning, like beating
The multiversal war at the
the
end.
multiversal war at the end. Like I just felt like it was dope. I didn't get to feel like it was dope and representative of me and like getting to see myself on a screen and all those like whatever else. Like I've gotten that my whole life. Like every video game character I play, every character I watch is I can imagine myself in them because they're me. And you, I'm assuming, true believer, like regardless of a race you are, because like obviously we don't know, but like as men, we just are we, we get to feel represented
More
all the
often.
freaking time, dude.
Yeah. And
Always.
and like and to like to the point I was trying to make too is that to get these higher forms of representation on screen, we need to accept the lower ones, and it's tough because there's a balance where we can't just accept shit,
Right.
Like in my opinion, one of the comments, it's not true believer, but one of the people who commented brought up that there are other characters, one being Black Widow. Black Widow was well written in a single movie, and it was a female led movie, her solo movie, Black Widow, and it
People
got, guess
hated it.
what, shat on because it was a female led movie. Like that was the only movie she was actually written well in. Go watch Age of Ultron, watch all of her scenes and tell me she's written well. Please, I dare you. She's literally has nothing but action and sex scenes. That's it.
Yep. She's just there to be like, yeah, like the whole banner thing that they tried to pull off. Everything about that was awful. That's a great, like, please, like, you cannot tell me that that was better written than Peggy. Like, I don't
But
know.
but the point I was getting at is that people didn't care about that, like you were saying before. Now they care that the females are being written badly. No, it's because you don't want to stick your dick in them.
Yeah, no, right.
That's why.
They're not as hot. They're not sexy. They're not this. They're not that. Dude, it sucks to put it that way, but like that's a huge reality for one, men, and then like
Comic
male
book men.
comic book fans, dude. You
We're
know,
we're a part of that. We're a part of that. We're a special breed.
yeah. Let it be known that the Host for Hire boys love women, and we love women representation in any form
uh,
it takes. The, there, you know me, man. Like I don't necessarily enjoy all of that 100%, but it's not for me. There's other stuff for me to enjoy at that level. Like
Mhm.
there's certain stuff that are for other humans of the world who are living and want to enjoy stuff. Like you said, if What If is your favorite like comic like series, like I get it that it could hurt that like shit wasn't good. But there's so many more reasons it was bad than Peggy Carter. Like bring up the other reasons as well. Then it doesn't sound like your opinion is based on sexism. Because then
Yeah.
it sounds like your opinion is based on what you wanted to see and what you didn't get to see. Rather than just focusing on the one woman that is like, it's so hard to have an argument that's not based in sexism when like your argument is that you hated the woman main character and nothing else. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
please, 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 true believer, reply to us. Tell us your opinions. Tell us if we swayed you in any way. Anyone else who is watching, please also get in our comment section. Let's have a conversation. The point of this is not to attack true believer or any of these people that have these opinions. It's to open a dialogue so that like
To explain why we think you're wrong.
right, which is just again our opinion.
Yeah.
But like, and then we can have a conversation, right? And we can land on a spot that is like better for one like comic book world, right? So we can
And
get
like I
like the
said,
better content we want to
I think
see.
I think anyone can agree or should agree that representation is important, it matters, and we need more and better of it. But
Better
how we
of
get there is
it.
incremental steps, unfortunately. Just like all progress, just like all
Yeah,
social change, it's incremental progress over years with kind of I hate to put it this way, but kind of shoving it down people's throats.
yeah,
Like
and like
like
some stuff doesn't go down as easy. Like for me personally, Silver Surfer, that's not going down so easy. For
mhm,
for for me, Lucas, the person, the fan. But
yeah.
like again, I have to separate myself from that and then like and just be like, it's okay. It's not this one ain't for me. You know,
Yeah.
like I can still think it's awesome,
Well,
but
and as
like
long as like we've talked about this at length, as long as like the core of the character isn't revolved around
it's
it,
done well.
like what gets me is a lot of people will also bring up like, well, why not make this black character white or this Asian character white? Well, because a lot of times those characters were created with representation in mind, so therefore
Wrapped
their
around their
race
character.
is wrapped around their experience due to their race is wrapped around their character's story. Luke Cage is a great example of that. Like
Where there's
so
so many white characters that there's some of them that are just generic as fuck
they're
that have
just well, they're
no
just
real
well, they're white.
palpable
They're white because it was the default.
right. That's what I mean. So like those
They're-
characters, like rewriting their backstories and giving them depth and making them other races, I love that. Like that's what it like. You know, should
That's what we
that's what
want going
comic
forward.
writers
But we
should
have
be
to,
brainstorming. You
yeah,
know,
but we have to get there baby
small
steps.
steps. You know, small steps.
And like I said, I
And this
think
is
we can all
coming from
agree on
two
that.
white men. You know, like it's just
So take
obviously our
everything we say
opinions.
with a grain of salt.
Yes, correct. You mean because
Exactly.
everything we're saying is 100% correct, and you better listen to us. Otherwise,
Yeah.
there's repercussions.
Yeah, that's terrifyingly true. So like we said, take everything we say with a grain of salt. We don't know shit either. I
Right?
mean, that's the reality.
Yeah.
But we would love if we could maybe get a female or two in the comments to
Yeah.
let us
Be like, yo,
know,
what the fuck are you guys talking about?
actually educate us about what the fuck we're talking about, because we clearly none of us were, like you said earlier. You said it was perfect. It's an echo chamber. There's a bunch of dudes yelling
Yeah.
about stuff, and none of us really have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah. So get in here, ladies. Educate us. Give us in the comment sections like an actual perspective that we
Please.
can like base any of this off of what you like to see. If you hated Peggy, if you thought that her representation was like, yo, this is like pretty
Honestly,
fucking
like
dumb,
it's
you know,
again,
tell us.
it feels weird to say this, but it's 100% true and should be this way, is that your opinion will have more weight than anyone
More
else
weight
getting
than any of ours.
any
Yeah,
dudes
100%.
getting in the comments. Like, you know, same with like a person of color talking about a representation of a person of color. I'm going to trust their opinion more than anyone
My
else.
own.
Yeah, anyone
I mean,
else.
like,
Literally anyone else.
yeah, 100%. So that's the point, you guys. Please get into our comment section. Talk to us. We want to talk about this stuff. This stuff is important to us. As you can see, we want to talk about things that matter. We want to talk about caring about comics. You know, we want to talk about caring about the proper transition from comic to live screen. You know, that's something that doesn't happen all that often. But when it does, it's beautiful and amazing. You know, and so
Mhm.
like we want more of those moments. We want more moments like Cap getting Mjolnir in Endgame, where we're all cheering. You know, more moments like the three Spider-Men. You know, like I don't like just that's the goal, right? We want to go to
Mhm.
movies and cheer, right, rather than be disappointed. Um,
Exactly. We want to have that theater experience,
yeah,
like we did with Endgame, you know?
yeah. So let's get there by talking as a community. Let's build a community. Speaking of that, you guys get on Hosts4HirePodcast on all socials.
With the
Look
number
us up.
4.
We are trying to get to that elusive 10K on YouTube. If you could help us get there, that would be so, so, so appreciated. Again, we love to talk about this. We want to argue with you. We want to like have conversations with you. So keep talking to us, and we will keep making these videos as a response.
Yeah, we're gonna try and go live pretty soon here, and you guys hopefully jump in with us, and we can talk, you know, live, have a
It'd be
live
really cool
discussion.
to
That'd
have.
be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really cool. We should do that.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button so that you see when we go live and when we drop new videos. We have been your hosts for hire. We do appreciate you stopping by, and we will catch you next time.
Peace.